present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
A moving new book and a discussion of book publishing in 2019 are next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. Madison educator, engaged citizen, and author Judith Adrian has a new book out about a neighbor and an unimaginable life revealed. The title is provocative enough: Tera's Tale, Rebel on the River, a life story of love, rats, cancer, hoarding, and did I mention love? It'll be an important book for some, which invites consideration of what books are being published today and why. So I welcome to For the Record Judith Adrian and the publisher of Tera's Tale and Gwyn's previous book, In Warm Blood, Henschel House Publishing President and CEO Kira Henschel. And full disclosure, Judy Adrian and I taught together at Edgewood College for many years, and I was honored to be asked to write the foreword for Tera's Tale, which I did. Thank you. Thank you. It was exciting for me. Welcome to For the Record, you two.
Thank you so much.
If we could just start, I guess, by talking about writing a book today and getting it published today. I mean, we live in an era where the social media chatter is on the death of the publishing industry and people aren't reading books and all that kind of nonsense. I don't buy it. But talk about your books, Judy, and what motivated you to write those books.
It's been an exciting adventure, and I was in the middle of the second one thinking I was going to do this myself when I found Kira, and we met at a little cafe, and you had looked at some of the book, and Kira said, I will publish that, and my heart just stopped. Imagine the moment of having someone eager to publish what you're writing.
You started In Warm Blood, you were working on it not knowing if it would be published or not.
Right, right, yeah. It was just something that compelled you to write a story, you know.
What does compel one to write a story?
I think I've finally figured this out. I'm working on my fourth book now, and I finally figured out that it's telling the story of people's lives that might not otherwise be told.
Yeah.
The people, as you mentioned in the foreword, whose lives just are lost, perhaps.
I don't know, for anyone who has seen the musical Hamilton, that really struck me about that play, and it's the concluding song in the entire play. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? And sometimes how one is remembered is totally dependent on who tells their story and how they tell it. And all three of your books, of course, have that at their heart. Certainly Jackie Millar, who some people will remember from the terrible shooting that she incurred many years ago, and then In Warm Blood on a relationship you have with a gentleman serving a life term in prison, and then this remarkable story of your neighbor Tera.
Yes, yes, yes.
All three just, I mean, individuals whose stories probably wouldn't be told otherwise. So how do you decide what to publish, Kira?
Well, since it's only me, I don't have an editorial board. It's really, are these books compelling? Like when I read In Warm Blood, I read that until 2 in the morning. It was just like, it captivated me, and there was so much to learn from that. And that's what I look for in a book. Is it something where people will become educated? Is it something they don't know about somebody's life? I think many of the books that I do publish are legacy books. They are books that people's stories wouldn't be told otherwise.
Right. How long have you been doing this?
16 years. Okay. I started here in Madison in 2002.
Now, I mean, I don't have any of these dates down, but that almost feels like that was at the front end of perhaps a bit of retrenchment in the publishing industry. Fewer titles were being published at the time.
Well, I think there was a shift where many more people were going online and saying, well, I don't want to wait 3 years to get a book published, or I don't want to have to send out hundreds and hundreds of query letters. So people were getting into the self-publishing. Desktop publishing was just emerging. People could do it themselves. And I started the publishing company. I'm not really sure why anymore. But it was really,
it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Well, it was just to help people tell their stories, to work with first-time authors primarily, and to get the words out. The could change somebody else's life.
Yeah.
That was my motivation back then.
Are there similarities or differences, Judy, in the 3 books that you've published? Maybe the 4th book. I'm not familiar with that one yet. But in terms of how you went about it, the research, the interviews, the discovery process.
There's a huge element of trust that has to come with somebody telling you their story and being willing. And you become very close to that person, a very good friend, because you know it's not only them telling their story, it has to be a two-way process as well. So with Jackie Millar, she used to come to my classes at Edgewood and talk about her story. And then I went with her to various prisons because she did restorative justice work in Wisconsin and Michigan and Minnesota.
Because I Am Jackie Millar is the name of this book.
The title of the book was, she forgave the 2 boys who shot her. And I asked her why at one point, and she said, that's who I am, because I am Jackie Millar. So that became the title.
Both Jackie and Darren Morris knew you were writing books about them.
Absolutely.
Tera did not.
That's true. That is true. And I did talk to Tera's sister, who was the one who helped me clean out the house that was a site for hoarding. And so the sister knew I was writing this story. But Tera, no, she was gone by then.
Just out of curiosity, before I get more into these 2 books, did you recommend changes in both In Warm Blood and Tera's Tale?
Not really. There were some editorial things, some typos, but as far as the content, no, not at all.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I don't know how that relationship works between publisher and editor and author. I think sometimes it's rather more contentious than others.
Yes, but we didn't have any contention. No, not at all. It really flowed very nicely, and more, I tend to do more recommendation or saying, is this really how you wanted to say it, versus red line.
And just to further make some connections here, the artist of this cover?
This is Darren Morris, and he did the cover for both In Warm Blood and now for Tera's Tale as well.
This is the young man who is spending his life in prison.
You can see the process, maybe, from going from one to the other.
And then this is the cover of In Warm Blood, which is a different style. I mean, Darren's got a number of different styles that he uses.
Has no formal training, so anything, you can't count on where he's going to go with this.
Right. I love the fact that he did the cover for both of those books. Well, I want you to tell us a little about Tera and her tale when we come back on For the Record, right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
Get double.
Double?
Yeah, double. Double your tax return.
Right now at Mad City Mitsubishi.
Buy any vehicle, new or used, and we'll do your taxes plus double your return, up to $2,500.
Or you can get a minimum of $4,016 for the old crap you're driving.
Plus a 30-year, 300,000-mile warranty on new and used vehicles.
Don't forget about credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get $30,000 in credit. Double your tax return.
Up to $2,500 at Mad City.
Mad City Mitsubishi.
Not gonna happen.
That's it. I'm calling Kohler about their walk-in bath.
My name is Ken. How may I help you?
Hi, I'm calling about Kohler's walk-in bath.
Excellent. Happy to help.
Huh?
Hold one moment, please. The Kohler walk-in bath features an extra wide opening and a low step-in at 3 inches, which is 25 to 60% lower than some leading competitors. The bath fills and drains quickly, while the heated seat soothes your back, neck, and shoulders. Kohler is an expert in bathing, so you can count on a deep soaking experience.
Are you seeing this?
The Kohler walk-in bath comes with fully adjustable hydrotherapy jets and our exclusive bubble massage. Everything is installed in as little as a day by a Kohler certified installer. And it's made by Kohler, America's leading plumbing brand.
We need this bath.
Yes. Yes, you do. A Kohler walk-in bath provides independence with peace of mind. Call 1-800-852-4080 and ask about saving $1,000 on a walk-in bath. Or visit KohlerWalkinBath.com for more info.
No, that won't work. I need contacts. No, that's very important. No, I have to take my cat to the masseuse.
Skip the appointment. Renew your contacts prescription for free with 1-800-CONTACTS.
I am back with Madison author Judith Adrian and Kira Henschel, who is the president and CEO of Henschel House Publishing in Milwaukee.
Yes.
But a Wisconsin-based book publisher, and Kira published Judy's last two books, In Warm Blood, Prison and Privilege, Hurt and Heart, and her most recent book, Tera's Tale, Rebel on the River, a life story of love, rats, cancer, hoarding, and did I mention love? Tera lived next to you for a number of years.
Probably 20 years that I knew her, and it was maybe 15 years before I was invited into her house.
Yep.
And that was just a very brief moment. She took me in after dark, took me in a side door, showed me a shrine that she had for a singer, and took me right back out. And the sense I had was overwhelming odors from being in the place.
Yeah.
But I'd known her for years and years, and there's a picture here of her, of the two of us together with my schnauzer, Fred. And Tera very often said she was a cat person. She did not want dogs around her, any other critters. But the cat was okay. And my dog was, she thought he was a cat. So it was okay.
However, you had some interesting experiences with the cat.
I did. And this was Tera's cat.
Yeah.
Because she took care of my animals when I would travel, and I promised her that I would take care of her cat if anything ever happened to her, and did. Should I read the passage that opens the book?
Do.
Okay. So this is after Tera had left her home that was in trouble, and the cat came to live in my garage. Oh, I'm on the wrong page here.
We're looking at the rats right now. We'll get to that later.
Yes, yes, exactly. I wasn't quick enough for what happened when I brushed the pale cat fur. Now this is Tera's cat. I did not see Sammy move, much less have time to get away from his long teeth and claws. Without warning, he arched back, bit, and sunk his brown teeth into my right hand. His mouth was so large, his lower teeth were in my palm, and his upper fangs met them through the muscle above my thumb. The whole base of my thumb was gripped in his locked jaw. As I instinctively yanked my hand back, he propelled his body onto my arm. He thrust his claws into my skin, front claws on my wrist and back claws near my elbow. In panic, I grabbed the skin on the back of Sammy's neck with my left hand, deadlock. The garage was sharply silent. Sammy was fastened onto me, and I was locked onto Sammy. Neither of us breathed, and the only movement was the blood dripping in a slow motion. I watched, almost detached, as red drops created a circular polka dot pattern on the concrete floor.
You got sick.
I got very sick.
It's a horrifying story.
Yes, yes. And then I had the cat euthanized after I had promised I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then told her that I had taken the cat to live at a cat stud farm up in northern Wisconsin.
You know, there's famous advice to writers: write what you know. You know, it's one of the most common.
Absolutely.
And there is a degree of honesty in all of these books that it's hard. You know, I think people have to understand that this is not. This is going to be challenging. In Jackie's book, maybe a little more news journalism kind of thing, but certainly with Duran and Tera, it's stuff that was part of their lives and part of your relationship with them. That just is. It's hard to read sometimes.
It is, and at the center of that story, in the center of the story about the rats and the hoarding, there's a human being, and it's Tera. And so I knew that kernel of that person, and the rest of it sort of swirls around, but how do you keep the focus and the tenderness on that person who's been part of your life for a very long time?
Yeah.
I had no idea she was a hoarder,
Right.
really.
I know, that's part of the drama of the book, is when you discover that, and when we, the readers, discover that.
I can be so naive.
I don't know. I mean, I think we can all imagine someone that we've never been in their house, and you've always had a question, you know, what went on in there? And then hoarding is such a fascinating, complex disorder.
It is, yeah. Not something she could control, for sure.
Yeah.
And then the creatures moved in, and you know, she didn't want that. She loved creatures, particularly cats.
Yeah.
But then the creatures just moved in. There had been construction on the highway and a new bridge built, and when they built the bridge, they disrupted the land, and of course then river rats needed to go somewhere. And they came into this house by large number.
Yeah. You helped her sister clean out the house.
I did.
While Tera was ill and near death,
dying, yep.
and then after she died, there had to have been times when you asked yourself, "Why am I doing this? Why am I?"
Many times.
Yeah. What's the answer?
The answer is that the sister from Australia, she was a Aboriginal midwife in Australia. She had left Madison after going to school at St. Mary's, and she moved her life there. And when she came back to Madison to help her sister, she did the one thing that I think probably most of us couldn't say no to, and that was she simply asked for help.
Yeah.
Can you help me do this? And she was in a pickle, and she didn't understand the healthcare system in the U.S., for example. She was used to the kind of healthcare system they have in Australia. Well, not. We don't have that. So thing after thing after thing, she just needed help. And she's a delight.
There's more layers to this story than we can get into in a half an hour or an hour. But Tera had a gentleman friend.
She did.
Who's present throughout the book.
He is.
And not easily understood, at least initially, right, what his role was.
True.
In the relationship.
And you can see that I'm protecting her right now. It was an affair that went on for 40 years. But he was there every single day. Christmas, Easter, Halloween, birthdays. He was always there.
I think it speaks as much to what it's like to tell that tale, to think about what we see in a life, what we observe in a life, and how challenging it could be to put pieces together, to even want to put them together, to allow ourselves to put them together.
And she was so ashamed, so secretive about that, because what she wanted was a family and children and a conventional American dream.
Yeah.
And she couldn't have it.
We're going to talk more about what people are looking for in books when we come back with Judith Adrian and Kira Herschel right after this.
Henschel.
Henschel, what did I say?
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, laminate, and even hardwood 75% off. Empire makes getting beautiful new floors easy. See samples in your home, get a free estimate, and have your floors professionally installed. Update your floors with Empire and get 75% off carpet, laminate, and hardwood. Schedule now. 800-588-2300
Today.
Are you pouring money down the drain?
Well, I just got my wireless bill.
You can switch for free to U.S. Cellular.
Really?
And get a free phone when you switch.
Free phone? Huh.
Plus get paid back for data you don't use with the Unlimited with Payback plan.
No way. All that money wasted at the wrong provider.
Right now at U.S. Cellular, there's no trade-in required to get a free Samsung Galaxy S9. Just switch to U.S. Cellular.
5,000 years of Chinese music and dance in one night. Incredible, groundbreaking, a cultural phenomenon. A must-see. Shenyun. Coming to Overture Center for the Arts, May 7th and 8th. Tickets at shenyun.com/Madison or call 800-800-4410.
When you don't have a safe place to come home to, nothing in your world seems right.
This is a place that I call my home.
Help turn things around for a child. Become a foster parent.
I'm back with Judith Adrian and Kira Henschel, and we are talking about publishing books, writing books, and a new book called Tera's Tale, Rebel on the River, that Judy wrote and is out this week, or a couple of weeks ago, I guess, as you're watching this show. So if there's one thing I think probably publishers and authors share, it's the desire to have people read the books that are being written and published.
Yeah, I would really like people to read the books. I would like them to buy the books and then read the books.
Right, right.
Yes.
So how much do you even think, Kira, about the saleability of a book, the marketability of a book in making your decisions?
I put a lot of attention on that. Yeah. If the author says, all I want to do is write and hide in my little cubby, I'm not so interested in, because it does take a lot to get the word out about a book, and some authors I've worked with have spent thousands of dollars trying to get the word out about their book, and if the audience isn't there, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
so,
interesting, because,
yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking difficult books to read are probably difficult books to sell, and yet they are important books. I mean, we want to have difficult books available.
Right.
But it's not so much the difficulty of the book as the difficulty of the author in wanting to promote the book and wanting to own the book.
Yes, and creating a buzz around it in some way, shape, or form. And some people are very good at that, and other people are a little shyer. So I look for authors who do have a platform, who have a voice. And, well, like with Judy, you have many, many connections and people who love you and love your books, and you know, that plays a big role in my decisions. Some of the books are custom published, maybe 100 copies for friends and family. Yeah. And that's a whole other animal. But if somebody wants to eventually be on the New York Times bestseller list, that takes a heck of a lot of work and probably a lot of money. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I've started doing now, is also print books, but also having the books available on Kindle. Because of the whole kind of electronic wave of things. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
You have a wonderful voice, Judy, but how hard was it, or is it, to promote this book and to talk about it in the typical fashion?
Mm-hmm. It's very, very difficult. The shyness that you're talking about.
I'm sorry to put you in this position to ask you, but on a TV show I must.
You must,
yeah.
You must, yes, yes. Be careful, I'll change the subject on you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard, but it's also part of the process. You have to,
yes.
And you want people to hear the story, else you wouldn't have written it, I think.
Right, and that's, I mean, I completely believe in Judy's work, and
thank you.
You know, the story needs to get out there, and it depends. It's about finding the right place to promote without really promoting. You're not saying, here, buy my book. Yeah. You're saying, there's so many things you can learn from this, or there's so many things to discover in this book. Yeah. There's something new and something different that hasn't been told before. And I think the uniqueness of Tera, I don't know very many books on hoarding other than, you know, by psychologists or psychiatrists who are saying it's an illness.
Yeah.
So this brings it in from a totally different direction that I could see even using in university settings or academic settings.
Sure. No, I think it's an undertold sort of story, hoarding.
Yes. It takes the shame out of it, too, somehow. Yeah. That's what there's so much compassion in there that the shame, even though Tera didn't let you into her house for whatever reason, very often, it was, you didn't condemn her or judge her. You just said, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I watched one of those shows on hoarding just recently, just to see what the world was seeing out there. And there was a lot of judgment in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, there's a popular TV series, isn't there? That's right. I hadn't. That's right.
Yes.
And the judgment was just clear.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
Because it was clearly hard.
Yeah.
Clearly hard.
You and I have shared a book that E.L. Doctorow wrote about two famous brothers in New York who were hoarders, Homer and Langley. that I thought he treated with some considerable respect as well, in telling their stories. Well, I'll change the subject for you. Sure, I've thought about writing a book, but I don't know what motivates. I mean, I've talked to any number of authors. I've had wonderful authors on this show over 30 years, and I still don't know what is involved in the discipline and the commitment to writing a book. You do.
I do.
Almost 4 times over now.
Yes, yes, and it's just, very often I'll wake up at 2 in the morning with this idea running through my brain, and I whip off the covers and the cat, and I go and sit there and write for an hour because the idea is there, the pieces are coming.
Yeah.
It's sort of always there. I mean, even right now I'm thinking of, oh, I could say this, I could say that. So it becomes a part of you.
Yes.
In a very gentle, inviting way.
Well, I have great respect and appreciation for the process. Self-serving as it is, I love the book.
Oh, good.
I loved writing the foreword for the book. And thank you both for coming on.
Well, thank you so much.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
This is an exciting time in the energy industry.
The world is changing, and we want to work toward common goals.
Toward a cleaner energy future, driven by innovation, powered by working together.
By working with customers, we provide customers what they want.
MG&E is your community energy company for the future, powering our community, sharing your values, partnering to meet your needs. Visit energy2030together.com to create a more sustainable future together.
We're doing well here in Madison, but not every community has access to fresh foods. We're changing that.
Mayor Paul Soglin used his know-how to create the Healthy Retail Food Initiative to bring grocery stores here to Allied Drive and across Madison. But that's not all. Mayor Soglin's leadership is creating thousands of affordable apartments. He's focused on increasing access to affordable health care and reducing economic inequity.
We've accomplished a lot in my time here as mayor in Madison, but there is more to do.
Paul Soglin, getting the job done for Madison.
Congratulations to Dan Evans, a top-notch band teacher at Partyville Middle and High School.
It's a thrill, and not everybody gets this opportunity, and it makes you feel like, you know, on a rough day, you can always remember you did something right at least once.
If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized as a top-notch teacher, send us a letter, an email, or nominate a teacher at channel3000.com.
Sponsored by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries and by Concordia University.
My thanks to Judith Adrian and Kira Henschel, and to you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.